All right, today I'm going to be walking you through how to complete this assignment here, which is called Photoshop masking. For this assignment, you're going to need at least 2 images. 3 is best, but at least 2. If you don't have your own images, here's a few that you can use. So if you click on this, there's these images in here. So if I'm bringing this one in, I would see that image. Yes, I want it. I would come over to here. Okay, and I would download it. It will show up in my downloads right there at the top. Okay. If I wanted this one, I would do the same thing. And this one, same deal. So my 3 images are now in my downloads. If I go to my downloads, they're going to be right here on the top. Now, obviously, I downloaded these other ones earlier today, so you can see those in there as well. So I have those 3 images in there. If you're going to your Google Drive, it's the same thing. You go over to your Google Drive, into your drive, find your images wherever they are, right-click, download. Never do we ever edit the original image. So what you're going to do once you come in here is you're going to go File, Open, and you're going to open these images from your download. So I wanted these 3. So I'm going to select this one. I can select that little box at the top, select all 3 of them at the same time, click Open. So now I have 3 images open at the same time. I know that all 3 of these images are open at the same time because they're placed here along the top edge. Now, the first step to creating a layer mask is to actually have all the images on top of each other. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to send all 3 of these images to one of them. So I'm going to start with this one here, this tree. I'm going to right click and I'm going to go Duplicate Layer. So I'm over on my Layers pane. If your window or if your screen does not look like mine, go to Workspace, so Window, Workspace, and reset your essentials. It will change things just a little bit. I prefer to have this up a little bit further so I can see my layers. So right click, Duplicate Layer. Now, right here is your destination. That's the thing that's the most important. This is where you're sending it. So I'm going to right click this and I'm going to send it to one of these other ones. So if I want to send it over to the cat, I know that's my first one. So I'm going to click that and click OK. Now if I come over here, I can see that they're both on top of each other now. So I have 2 layers over here for which to edit. I can come here, right click, Duplicate Layer. I can also send that over to the cat. So if I come to my cat, it looks like at first glance that he's the only thing in here. But if I look over here, I have him, the tree, and the cat. So I have all 3 of these on top of each other. Okay. Now, remember, whatever's on top is the one you're going to see first. So I can move my layers around just by dragging and dropping one above the other. Okay. So I kind of want to just mess with, right now, the tree and him. So I'm going to move my tree over, and I kind of want to lay this over top of him. If it's not the right size, you can do a thing called a transform. You go Edit, Transform, Scale, or you can press Control-T on your keyboard, and that will allow you to scale things as well. So I'm going to scale that, kind of placing it over top. Remember, visible, non-visible. So I kind of like that placement. Okay. So now I kind of want to cut through here to him. I can come in with an eraser tool and I can erase these pixels out, changing the size of my pixel, and I can erase these pixels, and that will get him there, right? But the issue is, if I make a mistake, I can't just easily get this back. This is called destructive editing. So I'm going to go backwards in my history. History, by the way, is this little guy right here with the 3 boxes and the arrow. It shows you all your steps. If this is not visible, you can go Window, History, and that will pull that up. Okay. So I brought it back to before I used my eraser because there's a better way, because that was destructive. We're going to do non-destructive editing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be on this layer here, and I want to cut through to the background. So I'm going to add this, which is a layer mask. This allows me to cut through simply by using black and white paint. So I'm going to select my paintbrush. I'm going to think about the size of my brush, and I'm going to think about how crisp the edges are. So if I have this at 100% and I go like this, it's like a cookie cutter. It's a sharp, crisp edge. So sharp and crisp, okay? If I have this paintbrush set to really soft and I cut through, you can see that in the center, it's really sharp, like you can see all the way through, but the edges are nice and soft. I equate this more like spray paint, where it's kind of lightly getting the edges, whereas this is like a cookie cutter. Okay, so pay attention to how you want that to cut out. Okay, now I'm going to zoom back out. Okay, now I want to cut this tree out. I could sit here with my paintbrush and black paint and cut 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 and all the things, right? But that is an awful lot to try to cut in around all those little branches, right? So I'm going to take this mask. I'm actually going to drag it to the trash can, delete that. Okay. And I'm going to try something different. Okay. Along this left side, okay, 4th tool down, there's a thing called the Object Select tool. So I'm going to select that, and I'm going to see if I can delay. Okay. Sorry about that. Unfortunately, this crashed my computer for a second because there were so many details. So I have this, I've used the Object Select to select all of this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to either press the mask right here, or I can come down and press mask there. The little white rectangle with the black dot is the mask. So what that does is that's going to mask everything out. Now, it's not great with the fact that it's showing all the white, but I kind of think that that's interesting. I can actually come in and do some other really interesting overlays and things like that. Okay, with this once it's there. Okay, so that's kind of one of the ways that you can actually add an object over top of one of the others without having that background. But the cool thing is, let's say that I want to delete some of these things that are in here. So what I'm going to do is you can still come in and edit this mask by using black and white paint, right? So with white paint or black paint, remember black paint cuts away, okay? And white paint brings back. So if I wanted this grass down here.
If you are not in class, head to the target card. All students, your cell phones should be locked in your Yonder pouch. Have a great.
So, apologize, that was the bell. So if I wanted to go back in and add different things in, I can come back and edit the mask over here on the side. Now, pay attention to not be clicked on the image. So if I'm on the image and I'm painting with white paint, okay, so white paint, okay, or red or purple or something like that, it will actually paint, okay? Whereas on the mask, black and white, paint back the pixels or paint away the pixels depending on if you have black or white selected, okay? So I'm going to take that mask off, drag it to the bottom, bring this cat up to the front. So essentially, guys, what you're doing is non-destructive editing, where you're taking away different things from the image and overlaying them over top of one another. So remember, it's a mask, black or white paint. Your paintbrush size is here. Your opacity of your paint is here. We can talk about this later. For now, try leaving that at 100. But remember, sharp edges are 100%. Softer edges of your circle are down here at the bottom. So sharp edges, cut through, sharp, crisp, soft, soften up all those edges. Okay. Remember, white paint brings back, and black paint gets rid of, as long as you are on the layer mask. But the awesome thing is, if you don't like something or something really messes up, you can just get rid of this mask and you have your original image to begin with. So for your assignment, I want to see 3 images with 2-layer masks, because you're cutting through the top one down to underneath, right? So I'm on my layer mask. Okay. Black paint cuts through. Okay. Underneath. Okay. Try to be purposeful. I'm just kind of messing around with stuff. See if you can actually get kind of things combined together in an interesting fashion. But give this layer masking a try and see what works and doesn't work. Now notice over here, I cut through, but there's nothing over there for that information. So I'd either have to make this image wider, okay, or cut the entire image down, okay, or bring back the cat. So hopefully this makes sense and you guys are in a good place. Sorry about all of the issues with the bells.